Hey everybody, welcome back to BobkeTV. One thing I get a lot of questions about is when it's too icy, too cold in the winter, and people want to keep training, what is the best solution? And there's a lot of discussion between trainers and rollers. I prefer rollers. I'm going to show you how to get on them if you've never done that before. Rollers are great for indoor training during the winter time. Another thing they do is they encourage a very smooth and efficient pedaling motion. Riders that have spent years and years and years on their bike are an absolute thing of beauty when they're pedaling. Track riders especially, that pedal at incredibly high cadences. And their pedal stroke has to be as efficient as possible. And the rollers, because you have to balance, you're not locked in to a fixed trainer. Because you have to balance, it encourages your legs to develop an incredibly efficient pedaling motion. It's not easy the first couple of times you do it. So there is a pretty steep learning curve. Half an hour or so, an hour, couple of times, you should be proficient enough to enjoy the rollers throughout the winter time. When you can't go outside, it gets dark very early. Come home after work, it's already dark. Get on the rollers, do an hour, hour and a half. I don't have as much patience as a lot of riders for being indoors in one place, sitting on either a trainer or rollers. My absolute outer limit is about an hour and a half. That's the most I've ever done. In the days I was training in the winter time to get ready for the cycling season, I would do 2 rides, hour and a half each. That way I would get 3 hours in. I would do some interval training if I needed to do that, or a nice easy recovery effort on the rollers. The rollers are so perfect for warming up for time trials, track events. You see them throughout the infield of the track, and riders warming up and cooling down on their rollers. They're not quite as compactable as a trainer. That's the one drawback. They're a little bit heavier also, but for my way of thinking, rollers are the best alternative to a stationary bicycle in the wintertime. These are my rollers, made by Kreitler. These are a little bit more compactable because there's a hinge right here, and you can fold them in half and stow them really easily out of the way. Open them up, good to go. Whoa, watch the cord. So once you put it back down, this has to roll over, and there's 2 little grooves on either side of the rollers. These have the best bearings. This is a gigantic aluminum cylinder. It has little support struts, 6 of those. You do want to maintain your bearings and spin them periodically to make sure they have enough lubrication. As you sweat, and sweat flies off of you, which is really common when you're riding the rollers, it can get in there, so you want to keep those nicely maintained. I've had these since 1987, and they're still perfect. I have had to replace this a number of times, but the rollers themselves will last you a lifetime. Put the bike on top of the rollers. Now this I don't recommend until you're fairly proficient. There's a little tab right here. You want to find the right place in your cleat so you don't slip off when you're standing on it. I found it like right about here is a little groove in the cleat that fits on top of that, and you can clip in with one foot for your, and then you have good balance. Second foot, and you're training. That takes a while to become that proficient. Before you're able to do that, what you want to perhaps think about is putting the rollers in a door jamb so that you can prevent yourself from falling over as you learn how to do the rollers. Eventually, you should be able to post up all winter long and do your roller riding. Sitting here for an hour will put a lot of pressure on your sit bones and be very uncomfortable. So also, it's helpful if you can get out of the saddle and do a few RPMs to relieve the pressure on your sit bones every couple of minutes. One thing you can add is a fan that attaches to the front roller in the same way that the rear one is by one of these rubber bands, and that will provide more resistance. But for me, you know, resistance training is something you do out on the open road, and for the wintertime, it's the perfect way to stay fit. I like to listen to music, so you can see behind me I have a little radio. The rollers can get pretty loud, so make sure that you don't turn the music up so loud that it disturbs the neighbors or the people you're living with. And enjoy your winter. Now, track riders that spend many, many hours on the roller and get bored can do all kinds of cool tricks. That's all I got. That's all my tricks. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Click on my face to subscribe. Click on the t-shirts for merchandise. Comment if you prefer rollers or trainer or taking the winter off so you don't have to ride inside. That's understandable. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and thank you for the thumbs up. All right, everybody. Till next time.